But folks, you know what? We all want spring, and there's a place about 5.5 hours away that you'll see spring well before we do here in southern West Virginia. Spring is on everyone's mind. We want the warmer temperatures. We want all these trees behind me in Oak Hill to be blossoming with leaves. Well, folks, there's a spot 2 tanks away from southern West Virginia in which 70% of the Yoshino cherry trees are going to be vibrant. And that is in the nation's capital. And we want to give you our prediction on when the peak bloom will be for these cherry blossoms. All right, folks, this is what the tidal basin usually looks like in DC during the peak of the bloom season. You can see all the colors there of the cherry blossoms. Well, this winter we've had ice on the Potomac. We've had lots of snow in Washington, D.C. I think about 10 to 15 inches of snow. And this is the most recent EarthCam image showing absolutely no buds on those cherry trees just yet. Let's dive into the details because winter temperatures determine when the peak bloom is going to occur. So the earliest in recent times was last year, and all these bars show the temperature pattern through the winter. Well above average temperatures, which means an early peak bloom. The closest to the historical peak date, April 5th, showed very warm February and then a very cold March. So that delayed the onset of the cherry blossoms in Washington, D.C. The latest in recent times were these 2 years, these 2 winters, 2013 to 14 and 14 to 15, where temperatures were well below average, especially February and March. Those are the 2 crucial months to determine when the peak of the cherry blossoms is going to occur. The second earliest in recent times, guess what? 2011, 2012, very similar to 2024, where the entire winter, including March, saw above average temperatures. The emerging signals, a cool start across not only our region, but in the nation's capital. And then we have a developing pattern, a Pacific Ridge, that should bring an onset of more sustainable warmth. So how fast can these buds sprout across Washington, D.C.? Last year, the green buds emerged March 2nd. They went through all the stages in a complete cycle in 15 days. So here's my prediction for this year. The green buds will emerge March 12th. The puffy white stage will be reached March 25th. And unlike last year, when the peak, 70% of the Yoshino cherry trees were in blossom, March 17th, it's going to be much later this year, March 29th, 2025, closer to the historical peak in early April. Of course, if you don't want to take that 2-tank trip to Washington, D.C., you can watch the evolution of the cherry blossoms this year through the live EarthCam. Scan that QR code on your screen and you will get there instantly. And of course, when the National Park Service in Washington comes out with their official prediction on the peak bloom of the Yoshino cherry trees in Washington, D.C., we will let you know so you can perhaps plan a trip that is 2 tanks away to see spring in action before we finally get it here in southern West Virginia. Chief Meteorologist Chad Merrill for Newswatch. So have you ever been to D.C. to see the cherry blossoms?
I have not. I've been to D.C., but never to see the cherry blossoms. So that looks like a really nice trip, and it's awesome you had all that information so people can plan their trips in advance. Because, yeah. I mean, the year... it's almost March already, so you got to start planning right now.
Yeah, and that peak bloom can be anywhere from the middle of March to the middle of April. Obviously, you don't want to, drive 300 miles when they're not in peak bloom. So having that information might help plan it. And you don't have to pay anything to go see them. It's all free, and it's absolutely beautiful because there's different types of cherry trees. Yoshino is just one of the kind.
Awesome, awesome. Well, it'll be beautiful to see. So you guys stick with us. We'll have more news, weather, and sports after the break.